Okay, everybody, go to YouTube and type in Remote Neural Monitoring Human Experiment T, 2 E's, NYC Chronicles, the video that's 13 minutes and 3 seconds long. Okay, I'm going to play you a time segment of it here in a few minutes. Okay, I'm holding this video camera far away from the title of this YouTube video for a reason. And I'm not going to explain why, because it's going to waste video time, so just trust me. Then go to Google and type in this right here. Okay, this is the website it's from. Read everything in that. Okay, cross-reference it to the YouTube video that I just exposed to you and my statements that I make. Now, fellow American citizens, hello. My name is Leslie Williams. I am a target victim and activist concerned in the criminal expeditions of what is known as organized stalking. This crime can also be called gang stalking. But understand, please, when you research the descriptions that I state in this video, the best thing to do is to take each description and first research it to organized stalking, then go back and take each description and research it to gang stalking. Before I continue, I'm going to make a fast prediction pertaining to me and this area that I'm at, pertaining to where I'm making this video at on today's date, March 10th, 2016. The time right now is around 1:18 p.m. I was right. Alright, so check it out. If anybody approaches me or any area within 150 feet of me as I'm making this video, and at any moment while I'm on this property, especially at this spot or anywhere else on this property, in the next 4 days, from this second forward, no matter how they act verbally, no matter what they say, no matter who they are, no matter what type of person it is, especially any type of law enforcement, no matter what they say or what transpires, it will absolutely be nothing but a staged event directly connected to organized stalking expeditions. I make predictions because if what I predict comes true after I predict it, I then fold that current evidence on all of the other massive things that have happened to me as a result of being a victim of this crime that was predicted as well. Now, hold on 1 second. You hear some things moving around. It's some squirrels that I'm feeding. Okay, now, the reason why I'm making this video is to inform, to expose the truth. So, and the way I'm going to describe it is a way to where you can get a preliminary visual representation in your mind that will hopefully entice you further, okay, additionally, to research what I'm stating. We also have to understand that there's a lot of people out there that don't have college educations, not trying to imply that they're stupid or dumb or anything, but it's beneficial for them as well to be able to listen to this video and say, I can see what she's saying because of the way she's stating it. As a result, they'll research it and then be able to connect the dots. Because a lot of targets who are being targeted with this crime, not just highly educated people are being targeted with this crime. Okay? There's a lot of individuals out there that have high school and trade school level educations. Oh my God, you would not believe what I know. Alright, so check this out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fly right into the subject matter of this video. Now, let me get my hat back on real fast. And I'm going to have to talk fast in this video because I only got about 30 minutes at this time minutes left on the video card that I'm using right now. Fellow American citizens, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an introduction so you can see what I'm going to state afterwards. Imagine that you have, let's say, a neighbor or a son, a brother, husband, whatever, that's on a football team, and you're getting ready to go to the game. You anticipate it's going to be a great game because they're playing their rival, and you think to yourself, this is going to be a great game because it's two really good teams. Now you imagine to yourself if that the relative of yours or your friend of yours that's on a football team and you're rooting for them to win, and then the coach and the main players on the other football team know the playbook of the team that they're playing against. As a result, they're going to be able to adjust their techniques, their playbook, in accordance to the pertaining to the information that they have ascertained as a result of knowing that rival team's playbook. You might think to yourself, what the hell is this woman talking about? Pay attention. So, there's a specific technology that is all over the internet that is called remote neural monitoring. Google and YouTube it extensively. Okay? As a result of whenever you process any information in your brain's EEG signatures are fluctuating. Like when you process a word, or a sentence, I am going to go to Walmart. Those words, okay, as they're being processed internally and even verbally, okay, when you're processing them, the EEG readouts from them are called evoked potentials, where the potentiated neurons, the potentials, are evoked to process. Now, the government has specific technologies that have broken down and deciphered the syntax language of the human brain and how it's processed. As a result of these evoked potentials spiking in specific ways that they spike in reference to the speech, whether it be internal or spoken, they are able to decipher what language is being processed. So I strongly suggest you go to Google and YouTube and extensively research remote neural monitoring, including how it can monitor subvocal speech. Hold on. Okay. Now, as a result of remote neural monitoring, being able to monitor the subvocal speech of a targeted individual that they're targeting from a distance, remote neural monitoring. They can monitor you neurally, remotely, from a distance. Okay, as a result of them knowing the resonance frequency, which is a unique magnetic field. It's a unique magnetic field. Hold on. The magnetic field of your brain emits a frequency, and each frequency is unique, just like your fingerprints. Once they have identified the resonance frequency of this biomagnetic field of your brain, they can basically hijack it. Your brain has no firewall. So I'm going to give you some links, also some other YouTube titles for you to research, so you can research it, cross-reference the material that comes up, synthesize it together in order to see what I'm telling you. Now, as a result of the brain, when it goes to process any type of thought, okay, your thought comes from your motivations. It comes from things that might be going on in your environment that is perceived through your senses, your hearing, your sight. It can monitor your intention. Okay. So whenever we have a thought like I am going to go to Walmart, okay, that is based on intention, based on need. Whenever we perceive something through our environment, like somebody possibly approaching you, a stranger, and you don't know what might occur as a result of them approaching you, you might think to yourself, I better get up and see what this is all about. With the remote neural monitoring, they can ascertain what these evoked potentials are, so they can see what the target individual is deliberating in their mind in real time at all times. Okay, now understand. So the remote neural monitoring computer runs on trillions of flops per second. Okay, extremely faster than the brain processes this information. The brain is processing information, if memory serves me correctly, at the millisecond level, which I think is a thousandth of a second. The remote neural monitoring is literally monitoring that target's evoked potentials way past the nanosecond time rate. And nanoseconds is a billionth of a second. So when you just relate that to a millisecond, which I think is a thousandth of a second, to a nanosecond, which is a billionth of a second. A billionth of a second, a nanosecond, is the amount of time it takes for light to travel 1 foot. Like when you turn on your light in your house, okay, that light, when it comes on, when you flip that switch and all of a sudden the whole room lights up, you're not able to see how that light spread across the room with your mind, with your optical nerve through your retina, because the light is traveling at the nanosecond speed. The nanosecond speed is the amount of time it takes for the light to travel 1 foot from the light fixture once you turn on that light switch. And the reason why you can't see the light traveling is because of the speed that it's traveling at. So when you look at a nanosecond compared to a millisecond, look how fast that is. Well, the remote neural monitoring is literally processing the information that it's ascertaining at the trillions of flops per second, which means that it's massive compared to the brain processing the information. Now, you might think to yourself, why am I telling you all this? Well, because for one, hold on. What I'm telling you right now is the foundation, so you can see and understand my follow-up statements. Pay attention closely. Whenever we process anything, whether it be a visual representation from what we see in our environment and then our resulting thoughts from it, or whether we are processing a thought based on a thought that we want to act on, or something that comes from what we're experiencing, or something that we're processing because of our senses, what's going on in our environment. We process these things with what is known as two different modes of thinking, at least. One of them is pictorial thinking, which is right brain functions, and the other one is through language. Okay? Now, the language processing is processed through what is known as different layers of your consciousness. Just stay with me. I guarantee you'll be glad you watched this. Just trust me on this, okay? Whenever we process any type of thought, okay, it comes up through what is known as the unconscious, to the subconscious, to the preconscious, to the consciousness. We become aware of what that thought is when it comes to how that thought has. Whenever we process a thought through these four modes of thinking, through these four modes of consciousness, the thought is not consciously attached to language until it starts to process between the unconscious, okay, and the preconscious, and then through the consciousness. So in other words, the thought is born between the subconscious and the unconscious, okay? They can remotely neurally monitor that thought before it begins to process through the unconscious to the preconscious, when you start to become aware of what the language thought is. You might think to yourself, this sounds all crazy. Just hear me out. If I have a thought right now, I am going to go to Walmart. That thought was processed from the subconscious to the unconscious to the preconscious and to the consciousness. I start to become aware of what that thought is, no matter what motivates it, okay, at the unconscious and preconscious level as it's streaming through the consciousness, because that's when language is attached to it, okay, in the conscious modes. But the thought was originated in the subconscious and the unconscious awareness, okay, and it can also be attached to intention, okay. The remote neural monitoring is monitoring these evoked potentials at the subconscious and unconscious levels, all the way up through the preconscious and consciousness. Now, as a result, before the targeted individual who's having a thought, before that thought can be completed in their preconscious and consciousness, where they start to realize it through language, the remote neural monitoring has already ascertained what that thought is in the subconscious and unconscious, and then will transmit to that targeted individual harassing dialogue using the microwave hearing effect, alpha wave transmissions, and a technology called V2K. Harassing dialogue for that targeted individual to experience based on the theme of the thought, what the thought's about. You might think to yourself, this shit sounds crazy. Listen carefully.
Again, they seem to be rotating in shifts, every shift of 8 to 12-hour shifts, and this has been going on for approximately 6 months. I've felt everything from tingling to burning to pulling to shocks to zaps, everything predominantly and mostly on the left side, the back, and the middle of my brain, or head, if you will, but it feels like it's that deep, like it's in my brain. And this is basically me documenting some of the strange things that are going on. For the last couple of weeks, I've been feeling like, or not feeling like, I've been told that they're leaving soon, that I have another 2 days, another 3 days, another 2 weeks. They would say things like 2 more days, you have 2 more days to figure this thing out, you have 3 more days, you have, 2 more weeks, whatever they would say. By the same token, the voices have been getting lower and lower, but when they want to, they can get higher, back to the original volume that they were at one point. Medication is not affecting this in any which way. So what I'm experiencing now at this point is basically the reduction in voices and them telling me that I'm in training. At one point it was, your training is over. Now I'm being told you're still in training. I'm being told more specifically that they're training me to hear them without actually hearing them. So they're basically training my brain to hear them, and that this is about mind control, which initially I thought was crazy, because that wasn't the initial commentary. This is what I'm hearing now, once or twice, the commentaries I'm hearing from the main male perpetrator in this. And I'm starting to believe it, only because I'm noticing some strange things, like my thoughts are being intercepted, if you will, like thought interception, where if I'm not actively thinking about something, they'll go ahead and change the end or the back or a piece of that thought. So it'll essentially still kind of be the same thought, but they'll change something from what your regular verbiage or lingo would be for you. An example, a broad example or general example, is if you think of blue sky, because whatever this technology is that they're doing to me, they seem like they're able to go ahead and process my thoughts or get my thoughts before I finish them, which seems shocking, but it really isn't that shocking, because if you read articles on fMRIs where they're reading the thoughts and reading the mind, things like that, scientists can predict what you're going to think before you finish thinking it, because they can see the pattern, the brain pattern, I guess, or whatever it is. But anyway.
Okay, fellow American citizens, the reason why I'm making this video is because this technology is being used for some of the most heinous crimes that your mind can conceive and cannot. The last bastion of hope that a human being has for self-preservation is their mind. It's not food, it's not water, it's not shelter, it's not clothes, it's not friends or family, it's your mind. Because we use our mind to deliberate what will keep us safe, what is a possible danger, and what is danger. Now you might think to yourself, well, how could they complete her thought if they're monitoring her thoughts? Because for one, the computer has already recognized what the complete thought is before it was processed up through her pre-conscious to the conscious mode, which is the modes of consciousness that attaches the language into the consciousness as the thought is being processed up through the conscious layers. Now you might think to yourself, well, how could they complete her thought? Because they already knew what the thought was before she became consciously aware of it with her own language, her own voice print in her mind. So how could they complete the thought for her, changing the dialogue of the thought? Because she already became pre-consciously aware, in the midst of the consciousness becoming aware of what the thought was, and they transmitted V2K using voice morphing of her own voice print. In other words, when you hear me talking right now, you're hearing me talk with the sound of my voice. They can capture your voice print and put it in specific types of sophisticated technologies called voice modulating, voice synthesizing, and voice morphing. They can then transmit using V2K, the microwave hearing effect, into the audio cortex of the target individual, so their change of that thought, okay, can be incorporated into half of the thought. In other words, I can say I am going to go to Walmart. They can change that thought, okay? My voice will be I am, and they can change it to going to, let's say, Kroger's or Ralph's. Do you understand? I am going to Kroger's and Ralph's when I was actually going to go to Walmart, because the latter part of the sentence was changed by them using the target individual's voice print and transmitting it into the target individual's audio cortex. And this is where it becomes mind control, because when they do these things, it is transmitted under the perceptual radar, meaning that the target individual is not aware that this has been done consciously. Now, again, we go back to Google, okay, excuse me please, and type this in. What do you think this is all about? Okay. Now, I strongly suggest you go to Google and type in DARPA and non-consensual human experimentation, military included, and GangStalking. It clearly says in here how they can interrupt your thoughts. Okay? Stop individuals from thinking certain thoughts and make other beliefs things they normally would not believe. So, fellow American citizens, let me just interject a fast statement here. The power bar on this video camera is now flashing, so if this video stops while I'm in the middle of talking at any point in it from now on, make sure you still research what I'm stating. Fellow American citizens, let me give you an idea about a couple things as well. The police have been given access to this technology. They are also connected to and controlled by the perpetrators who perpetrate these criminal realities in every state, county, city, and town in the United States, and these expeditions are also going on in other countries. Google it. Also go to YouTube and Google and type in John Hall satellite terrorism and listen to every single one of his videos, every one. Okay? He calls this ability artificial thoughts or subliminal programming. Okay, and you'll eventually, if you watch enough of his videos, you'll find him talking about remote neural monitoring. Now, also go to Google and type in UCSD and Law Library Are They Networking GangStalking. Do it. Also go to YouTube and type in David Larson, James Lambert, Down the Rabbit Hole, okay, videos, and looking for the one, go to YouTube and type in 5-22-11, David Larson, James Lambert, Down the Rabbit Hole. And listen to that YouTube video. You can also go to YouTube and Google and type in thought-activated computers. Now, with this technology, they can put an idea in anybody's head about any subject matter, including dialogue that is transmitted into the audio cortex of the target individual to get them to cooperate with anybody that is in their physical presence. Police, human trafficking, human traffickers that will disguise themselves to make it appear that they're people that might want to help you if you've been made homeless, including homeless services like churches, charities, self-help groups, homeless shelters, because it's organized crime in the system at every level. Public defenders, prosecutors, DA's office members. Make no mistake about it, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Through experience and exhaustive, in-depth, educated knowledge. Now, fellow American citizens, this technology is also being used for neural enslavement, for complete and absolute, total, complete sexual enslavement by the worst of the worst. You would not believe what I know. You just would not believe what I know. So you listen to every word I'm telling you. This technology is being used on children, teenagers, adults, and the elderly, the disabled, anybody and everybody that they can use it on to exploit them in order to make money and for means of control. I made this video to inform, to expose the truth, so the truth can be known for what it is. And make no mistake about it, anybody can be targeted with this, including police. So if any police officers are watching this video, please understand, I don't have a personal problem with police. What I do have a problem with is that corrupt and controlled police officers being used to aid and abet the perpetrators in the system to bring the target individual closer to the exploitation by using their employment descriptions to do this, using normal apparent excuses and reasons. Every target individual's life is just as important as any police officer's life. So know this, we have every right to do what we need to do using legal means to protect ourselves from the corrupt ones and the corrupt individuals who are controlling them. Make no mistake about it. Fellow American citizens, go to Google and YouTube and type in police and gang stalking, and including how they can be victimized as well. Like, go to Google and type in Hemet Police Gang Squad being gang stalked. Google and YouTube that. Okay, so fellow American citizens, basically what I'm trying to tell you is that if an opponent that you are up against knows your playbook, for instance, let's say a connected police officer or a police officer who's being unwittingly used against a target individual has a earbud in his ear, and the people who are controlling him are giving him instructions about what to do to a target individual in real time. Okay, as an event is unfolding, that individual is being told what to do against that target. Okay, because the persons who are speaking to him through that earbud is knowing what the target individual's thoughts are as the event is unfolding. If an assailant comes up against the target individual who is being communicated with, including police, with V2K, where they're literally sending him instructions in his mind, okay, using V2K, where there's no earbud needed, about how to deal with the target as a result of who's controlling them, knowing the evoked potentials that are being processed by the target as the event is unfolding, then that's going to work to their advantage because they know the playbook because of the remote neural monitoring pertaining to what the individual is processing at the time the event's unfolding. Do you understand? And this includes in any theater, like a court date, a court hearing, while the target individual is in detention or a psychiatric ward and being provoked. This technology can control the entire biological system, the mind, the body, the arms, the legs, the get up and go response, anger, fear, resentment, rage, panic attacks, depression, okay, and every function of the brain. No matter what you ever read on the internet pertaining to academic papers or any other disinformation that's on the internet concerning this technology. I know it for a fact. In fact, you can go to Google right now and type in bioweapons, electroweapons effects, and you'll see a biological map of the human biology and all the different descriptions pertaining to the different areas of the mind, of the head and the body, pertaining to the functionalities of these technologies. Silent sound spread spectrum and the silent sound spectrum is also being used. Now, fellow American citizens, hold on. Again, if this video stops on in the middle of talking, it's because the batteries ran out, so still research what I'm stating. Now, have you ever seen that movie? I forgot what the guy's name, Gene Hackman. It's where he's some kind of individual who tries to control the outcome of a jury in reference to a mass shooting that took place as a result of a guy that got fired from some type of firm. Just hear me out. I forgot the name of the video. So you can go to Google and type in a playlist of Gene Hackman's movies, and you'll see the one. It's got something to do with juries or something like that. Anyways, the reason why I'm bringing this additional thing up in this is because you would not believe the sophisticated technology these little creeps have, outside of what I've already mentioned. In that movie, you'll literally see how when they were in the courtroom, the defendants had placed a small itty-bitty type of a listening device that blended in with the skin right next to the ear of the defendant's lawyers. And he was being given instructions about what to do pertaining to what jury members were being selected as a result of profiles of prospective jury members being ascertained by the group that was trying to pick the right jurors. Now, he was being communicated with in real time in that jury room as the jurors were being selected about, and communicating with this guy about which ones to pick based on their responses as they were being interviewed, okay, and as a result of the preliminary psychological evaluations and all the other information that they had already privately ascertained pertaining to each juror. Now, this was said by me to you right now in order to give you an illustration, because that can also be an added feature that these criminals are using. Basically what it is covert communication with each other as real-time events are transpiring, so they know how to act in order to be able to control the outcome. Now they're not only monitoring the target's evoked potentials in real time, but they can interrupt the thoughts of the target at the time this is going on. They can manipulate the target into believing things and getting them to act out in certain ways, verbally and or physically, okay? While they are being communicated with by the controllers of this. So they know how to respond to anything and everything that's being brought about because of the manipulation and the surveillance. I made this video to inform, to expose the truth, so the truth can be known for what it is. So in closing, because I only got a couple minutes left, whether the video stops abruptly or not, can you imagine this technology being used on a child by the worst of the worst? You would not believe what I know. You just would not believe it. And I want my fellow Americans to know right now that everything I'm doing, I literally put my life, my future, my finances, which I absolutely know they're going to target using normal appearing reasons and excuses. I'm doing what I'm doing to inform, to expose, so you guys can research this information in order to become educated, so you can make informed decisions about what to look out for to protect your lives, your family members, your friends, your relatives, and your community. It's the only reason why I'm doing this, and this absolutely includes law enforcement, because they're being targeted as well. They're being manipulated, they're being targeted. It's messed up. Words can't describe it. Almost. So, fellow targeted individuals, research what I've stated in this YouTube video. Also go to Google and type in stopthecrime.net. Also go to Google and type in surveillanceissues.com. I'm being set up right now in La Jolla. They made me homeless, so they can monopolize on that. They're using it as a control mechanism, so they can monopolize on that in order to steer me to environments they can control, in order to contain this exposure, and in order to attempt to, or to achieve the original criminal motivation of this crime, exploitation. And targeted individuals are labeled as being mentally ill, a threat to themselves or others, involved in crime. I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't sleep around, I don't steal, I'm not mentally ill, and I'm not a threat to myself or others. But these descriptions are just some of the types of labels that they attempt to put on gang stalking targets in order to discredit them, in order to discredit the truth they're telling, and for the exploitation. It's a mechanism of control, including illegal probate control, for racketeering, insurance fraud, and human trafficking. Instead of syndicated run, organized crime, group home, or any other type of environment that they either control or can influence from behind the scenes. I made this video to inform, to expose the truth. Please research what I've stated in it, and I think you will be glad that you did. Thank you.